Greetings, friends and fellow rebels, and welcome to the woods. I had the opportunity to attend a wonderful, fulsome, interesting, exciting convention that was dedicated to alternate spirituality, which is spiritual practitioners who do not necessarily operate within the frame of the big standard religions, the four big religions. I think there's supposed to be four. And I was there in support of a friend of mine who was presenting. My presenting days are behind me. I stopped that when I was sharing, well, my partner at the time was sharing his lived experience. And in back of the workshop was a half dozen uh, much younger people with their brand new smartphones. This was the first time that the camp, which was where this meeting, festival, convention was being held, they just got Wi-Fi, which everybody could use. Up to that point, you couldn't use your modern conveniences. They didn't have electricity. They didn't have Wi-Fi. You had to leave that behind you and go out into nature and express yourself, get creative, enjoy the energy of the natural world, what's inside of you, what's outside of you. But as the modern conveniences converged, and given the number of techno-savvy people, there was quite a group who were enjoying, in this case, their Google searching, in this case, their Wikipedia. So we would say something and then they would look it up on Wikipedia and see if it agreed with us. And some of the things on Wikipedia did not align with our memory of what we experienced, what we knew of others, what we experienced when we were with others. And they did not hesitate to challenge us. It was us against the internet. And as we all know, the internet is only as good as those who program the information in. And many times those who program the information in have an agenda. But in those early days, that wasn't so well known, nor was it an accepted truth. When you have to spend half your time defending yourself from footnotes or articles that have a different perspective, there's no point to even presenting your opinion. So I share with you, but that's the extent of it. My friend, however, she is exhilarated in all the things that she's learning by teaching, because that's the best way to learn. You're forced to get a very thorough understanding of what you're presenting, because if you don't have that, you will be presented with questions either at the conclusion of your presentation or during or afterward. You'll be presented with questions that will be a problem. Now, the wise will say, I never thought of that. I'm going to need to look into that. Why don't you give me your contact information and I can let you know what I think when I've had a chance to research that. The foolish, yes, I have been foolish, will give their best guess or their opinion based on logic and a pinch of intuition. It's not always accurate when you do that. Many of us do that, but we have to be careful. Because when you're dealing with spirituality, there's a certain amount of the practice that's unforgiving. when you make a mistake, you will get your hand slapped, sometimes very hard. Now, we're entering into a different world now where exploration is encouraged and it's much less of a danger than it has been in the past. In the past, when you let it be known to the world that you are a bright and shiny one, predators gather. And even the most cautious and careful person can be undone by happenstance, an accident, a friend or relative who misunderstands, or a slip of the tongue, or a desire to show off, or a desire to intervene, to assist, to help in a way that's unmistakable to others. You have done so. There's a problem. Not as much now. We are entering into a world where the predators have taken a permanent vacation. There will still be some around, but not to the level or to the degree that we have had up until very recently. So my friend was presenting and doing a wonderful job. And she had a very practical question presented. So how do I get your books? Because as we all know, if you're any good, you'll have published, right? Wrong. As a matter of fact, the capacity to put thoughts together in a publication and the ability to master spiritual work, those are two different skill sets. And the gatekeeping that's occurred in our culture that exists around publishing, well, really teaching, presenting anything, is not to our benefit. There was an observation that was shared with me that entrepreneurs, the very best of those who make a strong impact on our economy, in our business, in our world, they don't finish college. Because education is about training you to think a certain way. And if you're going to be an innovator, you can't be in a box. Now, do I have credentials? Yes, I do. But all of that means is that someone, somewhere along the line, decided that I had something of value to offer. You can't go by what the dominant paradigm feels that you need to know, because they only allow people to rise through the ranks, or usually the only people who can rise through the ranks are those who go along with the system. And the system hasn't been for our benefit. Not at all. We do need basic organization to get along with each other and to work together. But our system has been more about control. And no tighter control than over our spirit. So no, she doesn't have books. She's a practitioner. She has powerful intuition. And she was able to share that and provide ahas for people who had studied the books and didn't get as much out of it as they got to listening to her presentation. Be careful who you attribute value to, because those who are strongly rewarded with lots and lots of money and possessions and impressive sounding titles in our world are often, not always, but often, those who are tying you into the control grid. And now, the Aquarian age, it's time for us to break free of that. And welcome to the woods.